Right. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fantasy Fiends podcast, where we discuss everything fantasy with your hosts, Andy Peliquin, author of the Last Bucellari series, and myself, a new and upcoming self-publisher. Real quick, I want to ask all our viewers if you are interested in reading my newest novella, LitRPG, The Grind, a LitRPG series, episode 1, The Lionheart. It is free on InstaFreebie as a beta reader draft. It is 30,000 words, and the link to that will be in the description.
Ooh, that's exciting.
I'm excited. I read it and I got like sweaty reading it. It was good. And I hope other people like it as well. So
The grind, does that have to do with like the grind of the daily job, or is that something else?
it's like grinding in a quest. So people say like, oh, they have to grind. I wanted to make it a unique book, and if you're a real MMORPG player and you play World of Warcraft, then you'll know, oh, the grind. Okay, yeah, the daily quests and stuff like that.
I do other games, but I'm playing this one, Injustice, from Warner Brothers, the DC superheroes and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's got that same grind. You have to play over and over the same levels over and over to get the rewards and stuff. So I'm very familiar with the grind. It's a great word.
And Injustice 2 is coming out.
That's the one I'm playing. It's on mobile.
Oh, okay. I thought it was coming out on console.
Well, it's actually already out on both console and mobile. So it's been a ton of fun, super addictive.
I work too much. I've lost track of my video games. I'm no longer cool. I feel like I'm getting old.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right, so hit us with the word of the day week. What's the word?
Okay, so without giving too much away for our topic for this week, the word of the week is nebulous, which is an adjective for confused and obscure.
I like it.
I only, yeah. Have you ever used nebulous in your work before?
I don't think I have. I might have. I know it's sort of like that vague but I don't really do that. My works are usually very like, this is happening and very definitive. I'm the opposite of nebulous.
Oh, okay. See, an example sentence would be, after the accident, his memories were quite nebulous. I don't know. In my opinion, it sounds too scientific. I would probably never use it because it reminds me of nebulous gas.
Yeah.
So, I love how Angie just has to sit there quietly and awkwardly while we banter. I love it.
That's the fun of that. But well, let's introduce Angie. I wanted to have Angie on because I read her novel Sewing. It's her first novel, and it just blew me away for a first novel. So kudos to you on that, Angie. And one of the things that I loved about it is that there was so much similarities, so many similarities to sort of a Nazi France, Germany, Italy, sort of how the way that they controlled everything. Everything was so tightly regulated. And yet it wasn't like iron fist control. It was much, it seemed more hands-off, where the people had the illusion of freedom, but they were totally controlled. And that's why I wanted to talk about brainwashing as the topic. So Angie, why don't you tell us a little bit about Sewing before we get into the topic of discussion?
And the second book is Quelling, right?
Yes.
Okay, I pronounced that right. Okay.
Okay, so hi, I'm Angie. It is dystopian fantasy. It follows two sisters, and they kind of start out on opposite sides of this brewing rebellion. And I have pulled a lot from Nazi Germany and Nazis and stuff from the Red Army and like all this kind of World War II stuff that I'm learning, and kind of putting that into this dystopian medieval fantasy type of world. And love it. Pretty. Yeah, it's backwards.
Ooh, yes. That was something that I really liked, was how they have the posters that they do, and I know that's very for example, Martin Luther and the Reformation, he did that. He posted his 99 Theses on the wall of the cathedral, on the door of the cathedral, and that's a very big statement, and it's sort of like it's a shocker. And in the book, it makes some of them realize, okay, there's something else going on that we don't really, like in our complacency, we're not really seeing, right?
Yeah. It's kind of this whole thing of, they think that they have complete control over everything, and then like they can't figure out who's doing it, and it's kind of throwing the leaders into this sort of panic because they can't control what's going on, and things are getting a little bit dangerous for them.
Y'all are both gonna probably call me stupid, but when I read the description, and first of all, for anyone watching, her book is a big success on Amazon, and a lot of really good reviews. So I'll probably be picking up this book myself. Is it on Audible, by the way?
It is not yet.
Okay,
I'm kind of working on that, but
awesome. But when I read the description, I read it twice. It reminded me of a dystopian Giver, The Giver.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that, and I love the book. I hate the ending of The Giver, but it reminded me of that, except a dystopian version. I mean, we could argue that The Giver's society wasn't utopian. And it also reminded me of Brave New World. So
I have not read Brave New World. The Giver is probably one of my favorite books.
Mm-hmm.
Just in terms of, because I kind of would call it dystopian, because it kind of has that, like, everything's good, but then there's this dark thing under the surface, and they do all these really bad things, and they take away freedom, and it's like you have this good world, but at the cost of this.
Well, that's pretty classic.
To me, that's kind of dystopian.
That is a classic trope. I mean, you look at worlds like Equilibrium or The Hunger Games or anything where there is this appearance of stability and harmony and peace, and then when you get into it, it's just a form of control. You know, they're using these different techniques. For example, what springs to mind is the Divergent series, where they have everybody so brainwashed, let's say, into believing that they have to belong to one of these 5 houses, and there is nothing else beyond those 5 houses. And then, of course, the protagonist, the heroine, has to be all iconoclastic and break the mold, and that's one of the common tropes of young adult fiction and dystopian fiction. But in your book, how do the Holkondans, is that how you pronounce it? How do they sort of control or manipulate the people?
The biggest thing that they do is they tell the people that there is this enemy, and that if the Holkondans are not there to protect the people, the enemy will come in and just destroy everything. And so the Holkondans, like when I very first started, I had planned that they were these really bad guys who thought that they were like pretending that they were good, and they told the people they were good. And as I got into it more, I was like, no, they actually think that they're good. So that kind of changed them. But like in terms of the brainwashing thing, like they're all really brainwashed too. But they pretty much just tell the people that if they are not there to protect them, then everybody dies. And so that kind of keeps it as like anybody who stands against them is like, well, you just, you don't care about your neighbors and your family members because you want this other race to come in and kill everybody.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that manipulative propaganda going on.
I mean, that's got a lot of parallels to our modern society. You have all these people telling us, that you need all these different rules and regulations to be safe. But how many of them are actually necessary? There's tons of people who talk about how the best way to take away people's liberties is through fear and not through force. You show them, look, you're gonna get hurt, or someone's gonna take away everything that you have if things continue as they are. So, let's sacrifice a little bit of your liberty and we'll keep you safe. And then over time, more and more and more to where, it's a dystopian universe.
Now, I have a question. Okay, so what are the guys keeping everybody, they're saying you have to have us, how do you pronounce them?
Holkondan.
Holkondan?
Holkondan.
Okay, so what is keeping them? Are they just like, I pictured them for some reason like as giants, or do they wield some kind of weapon? Are they a police force?
They have weapons, but they're just humans. They're just like the military. They're just normal people.
Okay, it's a military.
Yeah, it's like Nazis in a medieval setting. Is basically what they are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like they've come from among the people, and they train as the protectors.
Yeah, and so what I've read is that they'll kill you just for talking behind their back, just or
Yeah,
setting a
pretty
rumor.
much.
Okay, so they're insane.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's actually that's not insane. It's just the pragmatism that comes with that sort of control. Like, let's say in Nazi Germany, the the people were so afraid of the SS that they would turn in their own neighbors, their own family members, because they were afraid of what the SS would do to them. And 9 times out of 10, people could probably have gotten away with saying what they said or doing what they did, but because of this fear that was created through the propaganda, through the ruthlessness of the SS and of course the government, they basically created this police state where everyone was watching everyone else and everyone was turning in everyone else to keep themselves safe. And it was just like, it was just terrible, which is why it's, reviled as, it is the Nazi Germany. So
I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say the messages, they give this message of fear, we need to protect you. That's one way of controlling people. But then one of the things that were interesting is I was raised in a cult technically, and they had a lot of ways of controlling, not necessarily, it's not an evil cult thing where everyone, was worshiping, I don't know, you see cults like the what are those guys, Tom Cruise's cult,
don't tell me.
Like Scientology or something.
Scientologists, where there's,
that's it.
It wasn't some weird thing, but then there was a lot of things about the way that I was raised that, looking back now, I realized it was just sort of a subtle brainwashing that is so much more common than we expect. For example, a special lingo, special words that we used and only we knew, where other people, if I told you the word, it would have a totally different meaning for you. But because of this unique lingo, it's sort of a way of separating myself from the rest of the people around me, therefore alienating me and keeping me in this little bubble. Or a lack of personal finances. Though everything was shared in common, everything was, it was the communal pot, so to speak. Everyone would share their finances, but no one had the sort of the money that they needed to do their own thing. So everyone was dependent on everyone else, and it created this sort of this interconnected society that had no independence. And that is at the core one of the simplest ways of taking away independence, is saying, okay, you all need each other, or like Angie's thing is, you need us to protect you or else you're going to die. That interdependence eliminates independence.
Dang, you're like a master at brainwashing and cults. For real. Like, you're scaring me. Are you brainwashing me right now?
A little bit. I'm scaring you. It's fear.
Yeah.
Now, but I also did research for writing Child of the Night Guild, the first of the Queen of Thieves books, where when I was writing it at first, I was like, okay, how are they going to train these thieves? There's, thugs, there's pickpockets, there are people who, they're bounty hunters, assassins, thieves, poisoners. So how do they take these people and turn them into loyal servants, essentially, of the Night Guild, without chaining them? Because, someone who wants to go home to see their mother isn't going to be happy living years of servitude. So I had to think, okay, what would work? And so I found a few things. One of them was erasing any sense of identity, and that was done by taking away their name. If you notice, Nazi Germany, the people had the tattoos on their arms. Or prisons, they dehumanize them by giving them a number. And that's one way of sort of severing a person's sense of identity from who they really are.
Yeah, actually, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, for my French degree, I had to learn about, France's involvement with Nazi Germany. And I also learned about, the prisoners having given a number to dehumanize them. And something that a lot of people don't realize, that once you're given a name and you're beaten so much that it's like they were cattle. And I mean, I'm no pro on the subject, but I did learn a lot of stuff that I had no idea was going on in these camps. So and I did learn one thing where it was the mother and father had to choose which child died or something like that. And that was another way to break these people and break them mentally. Did you ever hear about that?
I think I have.
I mean,
some of the stuff
there's always the famous movies.
Okay, I just don't want to. Man, this podcast got dark really quickly.
Sorry.
So
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, where in your book is the theme of brainwashing present?
It's kind of everywhere. It's
Okay.
maybe a little bit subtle. It's more like the indoctrination thing. One of the things that the Wakandans do is they put posters up all throughout the city, like their own posters, of this enemy creature race.
Okay.
And they have like their picture on there that somebody has drawn, and it says, "Know the face of your enemy." And so like they just like very subtly are reinforcing this thing of, this is the enemy, we are the good guys.
Okay.
And then, like anytime somebody tries to speak against them, they turn it as like, you guys don't want to be protected, like you want them to come in and kill you. And they just kind of keep doing that. It doesn't really get into it in the first book, but Wakandans start training when they're 8 to be these soldiers. And so they're taking Wakandan.
Oh, Hokan. I'm sorry. I thought there was a different.
Yeah, sorry. No.
And do they treat people who talk against them as traitors?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they take anything like that as treason. They take it very seriously. They have regular bonfires where they execute.
Okay, I was just about to ask how
people of these enemy creature race. They execute them. They execute traitors publicly. They whip people publicly for punishment. Even the smallest crimes can get you sent to the stocks outside the wall. And the stocks. Sorry, I kind of mumble.
No. That's so it's called the stocks. And what are the stocks?
Like the medieval thing when you have your head in your hands.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
See, Andy and I we're gluttons for punishment. We love hearing about these gruesome things. So we want detail. We want gory detail.
So stocks is one of the most basic of the medieval punishment. It's not even a torture method, Stevie. Come on, this is like medieval punishment 101.
So for me, I wouldn't care to be in a dumb stock unless I'm getting whipped, of course. But if you want to throw some fruit at me, fine. Let's make it a nutritious, embarrassing.
Well, they put them in the stocks that are outside the wall. Like there's a wall around the city. And so if you're outside the wall, you're open to all the animals. You're open to this creature race that might come in and, do whatever they want to you while you can't do anything.
If it exists, right?
Yes. And like they show them enough that they do exist. And so because they bring them in and they definitely do exist. It's just a matter of, are they actually as bad as they say?
I got you. Okay.
And then there was something else I thought.
I was just going to say, would it be possible to get a description of the creature, or is that something our listeners have to find out for themselves?
Basically, they are gray-skinned, they are humanoid, and then they have darker gray, flame-shaped markings on their faces. They can have any sort of like yellow, orange, like different colored eyes, like not human eyes.
Mm-hmm. What was your inspiration for this story and these creatures?
The story actually came from a song by a band called Thrice.
Oh, that's a good band.
Yes. Yeah,
love them.
There's a song called Under a Killing Moon, and that song kind of gave me this image of a group of people killing somebody and this other person watching that happen, and they're standing off to the side, and they know that it's wrong. They know that that person is innocent, but they also know that if they speak up, they're going to die too. And so that kind of was the inspiration for my rebel girl, Rabria. And then it kind of all just went from there.
Never heard somebody get inspiration for a full-size novel off of a song. This is the first
time. Oh, I got my inspiration off of a series, Stevie.
Are you really?
For my, yeah, the song is "I'm on the wrong side of heaven and the righteous side of hell," and that describes the hunter perfectly.
What the? I need to listen to more music. What that? Mine are, well, I'm normal. Mine are from dreams. Horrible, horrible dreams. So,
now, one of the things that I really liked about the world in sewing was that it was very subtle. The subliminal messages, like she was saying, that they've convinced people that there's this danger and that you have to give up your independence and your control. And that's definitely reflected in modern society, but even to a greater degree, you know, like the title of this podcast is "Everyone is Brainwashed," because if you think about anything that you believe, any of your perceptions on things, it's all been manipulated to a certain extent. You know, people see smoking as cool, or they saw smoking as cool
Yeah.
for the longest time because of the Marlboro Man ads, or, you know, all of the other things. And even now, people who smoke, they have this perception that, you know, that's cool. And it's just dangerous, it's just damaging for your health. There is the nice feeling of it. But then because of this thought manipulation, so to speak, you have this instinctive idea that something is cool, or something is right, or something is better. You know, and there's, like, if you name just about any belief that you hold, or anything that you believe to be true, there's a way to trace it to someone who's been, you know, trying, not insidiously, so to speak, but been shaping your perspective. You know, whether it's religion, whether it's philosophy, whether it's politics, there is a certain amount of brainwashing, quote unquote, or thought control in everything.
So when I read the email that we were talking about brainwashing this week, I was in theaters about to watch Wonder Woman and loved it, by the way. And anyway, I got really excited because usually when we bring up topics, it's something that I've written about but didn't realize I wrote about. And in my book, The Lionheart, now here's a question for y'all. Much like The Giver, if you're born into a society that's already brainwashed and you're brought up that way, are you still brainwashed?
Angie?
So like a baby who's born into a brainwashed family and they grow up, are they still brainwashed? Or do they become brainwashed once they realize that what they know is all wrong? Does the question make sense, or is it stupid?
Yeah. No, it's an interesting question.
Okay, good.
I would say it's still brainwashing, even if they don't realize it, because there is still a truth, even if they don't know.
I agree.
And, you know, like, the truth may be way over here, but if you're believing stuff that is very much not true, even if you don't know it's true, like, it's still not truth. So.
Well, in the Lionheart, it's about players who are created by people behind a computer. They don't know they were created by somebody behind the computer. All of them realize that they have a creator, like a god. But they don't realize it's just people behind a computer. And I don't want to give away too much on how one of the players, a couple players in this world, realize that, hey, my movements are not my own and I'm going to fight against it. And I was like, holy crap. That must be brainwashing. I've written about this and I didn't even realize I was doing it. So the whole story is about this guy fighting his manipulator, his puppeteer. And finally he breaks free, but now he's seen as an enemy of all the other players who are still being manipulated. And death, it's a survival game. So when you die, you don't come back. So now he's feeling sensations now. He's able to taste. And he wants to live. So he's more afraid to kill monsters and go into dungeons because he knows when he dies, he loses his soul, if you believe he has a soul. So I was so excited in the movie theater when I realized this, and I was hoping I could ask this question to see if I'm right. You know, does my story have a theme of brainwashing in it?
Yeah. To answer, or to give my opinion, because I don't think there is one right answer for the question, but is that everyone's perspective is shaped by the people around them. You know, they say it takes a village to raise a child, and in a way, the village does shape the child. For example, if you're raised in a village of sheep herders, your world is going to revolve around sheep. So the most important thing in the world is going to be sheep. You go to a village of blacksmiths and all of a sudden everything is foreign. Your perspective on everything is totally alien in a way. And that's a super simplified version of it. So if you think the same way about someone, who was born into any type of society, their perspectives are shaped by their society, whether it's social etiquette, the way that we are trained by our parents to respect people of the opposite sex is totally different than it was 100 years ago. So our conditioning, our conditioning has changed, and it comes to people around us. So I don't know if it's brainwashing, because that does sound a little bit harsh. Brainwashing involves a number of very specific techniques. But everyone, all of us are conditioned to a certain degree by the things that we see, the things that we're told, the things that we hear, the people we interact with.
Well, I am super excited to read a section of this book. Y'all've got me all hyper, and it might be that and this coffee I'm drinking out of a King Kong mug. So every podcast I have a different really weird mug. I think last week I have like 50 Star Wars mugs, and I just happen to have a King Kong one. So
it's really creepy.
It is. It's kind of weird.
Very cool, Stevie.
So yeah, I am excited to get to the reading. When Andy tells us it's good to go.
Oh gosh.
Let's do it now. Angie, as the guest, what
is Andy breaking up? Andy?
Am I choppy?
You're okay now, I think.
Oh, maybe it's Angie. Anyways, Angie, which part do you want to read? Do you want to be the narrator or one of the voices or two of the voices? What would you like to do?
I feel like I should be the narrator, and the narrator would be Rab.
Okay.
So,
it's a guy.
Yeah, it's first person. So
no, the sister.
Yes, yeah, the rebel sister.
Okay. And Adalia is man or woman?
Yeah. Adalia.
Let me make sure I have the right.
Oh, and is she the other female?
Yes, Adalia is the other female, and then there is. Let me get to it. There is a Hokandan who is a girl.
Miss
she
Sour.
only has a couple. Yes, Miss Sour. She only has a couple of lines.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know who I'm going to play, and then I just need to know.
I don't know how many people I have in the scene.
All right, Stevie, you read. You read. What? How do you pronounce it? Adalia.
Adalia.
Okay.
Stevie, you read Adalia.
Okay.
And I will read Miss Sour and Stoneface and any other random people.
Okay.
Stoneface? That's awesome.
Rab makes up nicknames for people.
That's great. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Is she younger?
And Angie, if there's a part.
You what?
Rob, yeah. I think so.
Rabria. Can you hear me?
Yeah. All right, and if Rob has any lines, you read them too, okay?
Okay.
Okay. And Angie, if you mess up, we just kick you out of the podcast.
Okay. All right. So I'm the narrator, and then, all right, Steve, you're Adalia.
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually going to talk first, but I'm going to narrate first. Right?
Is it that I don't? Is that Adalia?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay.
I've never done this before. This is weird.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
Yeah, this is so much fun.
Andy and I are both amazing actors, so be prepared.
Okay. Hang on, let me pull it here.
So is Dahlia feminine?
Do what?
Is she a very feminine woman? Or is she gruff?
She's very sweet, but she's a rebel and she's pretty tough.
Okay. Okay, cool. I can picture that. Okay.
But she's also like trying to not get in trouble right now. So
thank you. Okay.
So yeah. Okay. Are we ready?
Hit it.
Okay.
Yes.
Adalia stopped in her tracks and spun her head toward her.
I I don't...
She glanced toward my cottage. It was hard to tell, but it looked like it might be there, lying on the ground by the door. She looked back at the woman, grimacing.
I am so sorry, madam. I forgot to grab it again.
Her mouth dropped open, her brows shooting up.
You what?
Excellent.
Adalia shifted against me, nearly making me lose my balance.
I'm sorry, madam. I'll go get it.
Disgust flashed across her face.
No. How about you just forget this whole thing? You're both going home right now.
Wow.
Oh, man. Okay. Adalia winced.
Please, madam. Please let me go and get it.
You had your chance.
She took a step closer.
I've already gone out of my way enough. Hey.
That was a change.
Is that yeah?
Hang on, I can't breathe. Okay. A man's voice called. Miss Sauer looked to the right. We followed her gaze, and Adalia clutched my forearm. 4 Hokanan men approaching, briskly but not running. The one in the lead, every bit Mesreka's size, but with ashy brown hair, slowed and put his hands on his hips. I didn't recognize him, and he was too old to be a new recruit, likely close to 30. What if Cicero sent for assistance? He could have. How would you know? It's not like you've been watching the gate. Even if you had been, they could have come at night. Surely would have come at night. The world swirled around me, darkening the corners of my vision. There could be hundreds more Hokanans in the city that I didn't know about, all of them on the lookout for.
What seems to be the problem, madam?
The new man asked, slicing through my thoughts. Miss Sauer's expression tensed, and she straightened, squaring her shoulders.
Nothing, sir. I'm taking these 2 home. They have no real reason to be out, and I have better things to do than toy around with their games.
The new man shrugged his right shoulder.
If you want, we'll take them off your hands.
The breath caught in my throat. His tone may have been calm, even offhand, but there was no mistaking it. It wasn't a suggestion. It was an order. Miss Sauer heard it too and let out a boisterous laugh, lifting her chin.
Not necessary, sir. I am perfectly capable of... Perhaps you misunderstood. Go back to your post.
The new man looked at Miss Sauer and smiled. The expression touched only his lips, and a shiver went through me. Even smiling, he was like stone.
Did you hear me, blood?
Miss Sauer shot him a withering glare and looked him up and down.
Excuse me, sir,
she said, puffing out her chest.
but I am a sworn Gallowman. Maybe someday.
The new man flicked his eyes over Adalia and me, light gray, the color of clouds as they began to darken before a storm. I stiffened. He was as forbidding as a storm. He tilted his head to the side. The smile remained as if plastered across his face. My skin crawled, and I bit the inside of my lip, wishing I could sneer at him, say something, do anything other than stand there like a coward and take it. But I knew what fighting back led to. I sucked in a breath and scooted closer to Adalia. His attention crossed her and returned to me, heavy, lingering. There was a faint bent to his nose, as if it had been broken at least once, and a pale scar cut through the corner of his left eyebrow. He cleared his throat and looked at Miss Sauer. His expression darkened.
Why are you still here? I dismissed you.
He flipped his fingers at her in a walking motion, another smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Miss Sauer stared at him, glanced at the other 3 Hokandans, and scoffed.
Fine.
She said, the accent is killing me. Okay. She spun on her heel and stalked off. Stoneface, I figured that was a good name for him, watched her and faced us.
Now, my ladies, did I hear correctly about a fire iron being left somewhere?
Yes, sir.
Adalia said.
I accidentally forgot it.
You may go retrieve it. We'll wait.
She hesitated, stealing a quick glance at me, and dashed to my cottage. I stayed still, heart hammering through my ears. I couldn't bring myself to look at him, but I felt the weight of eyes on me.
Fast runner,
Stoneface said under his breath. I lifted my head. He was halfway facing one of his men, a serious, flame-haired one. As if sensing my stare, Stoneface looked over and smiled. Yet again, it held no true kindness or emotion, but instead the smugness of one who knew he had control and reveled in it. My right hand edged toward the knife hidden under my shirt. One move, and Adalia skidded to a stop on my right, and Stoneface held out his hand.
Let me see that.
Eyes round, she offered the halves, her movement halting. The muscles in his upper arm rippled under his snug sleeve as he took them and turned each piece to inspect the break. I traced my fingers over the concealed blade. 4 of them, 2 of us. Even if the others weren't as strong as he was, and they looked like they were, we didn't stand a chance. Calm down, Rabria. Panicking will give you away. I forced myself to take a deep breath. Stoneface glanced at me at once and returned his gaze to her, everything about him fluid.
And you're doing what with this?
He asked, offering the rods to Adalia.
I was taking the pieces to the blacksmith to see if he could fuse them back together.
Stoneface nodded.
Ah.
His attention settled on me again, and I stilled my hand.
And how did you get dragged into this excursion?
She's my best friend,
Adalia said.
Madame Amaya permitted me to stop by her cottage and have her come with us.
He was still watching me. I could not be imagining the delight in his eyes, though I didn't want to imagine what he was thinking about as he studied me. Nothing good.
Lucky for you, hmm?
His tone was almost teasing, or mocking. I didn't reply, tried to keep every speck of fear from lighting upon my face. He turned back to Adalia and narrowed his eyes as if thinking, or trying to look terrifying. He mastered it.
You know,
He said.
I actually have an extra one of those at my house, and I've no need of it.
With that, he started off the way we'd been heading. Adalia let out a weak laugh as she staggered after him. I fell in step with her.
Haha, oh, you don't have to give me yours, sir.
It's quite all right. It's not far, and as I said, I'm not using it for anything. It's certainly quicker than waiting at the blacksmith while he reforges this piece of junk.
Adalia stiffened, and I quickened my pace so I was more in front of her. He stopped and looked over. Though he'd mostly addressed her, he was far too aware of me. Every movement I'd made, he paid attention to. Every time I'd so much as breathed, his gaze was there. I'm his true focus.
Yes, my lady?
He tilted his head to the side. His eyes searched mine, and I stifled another shudder. No man had looked at me so intently in a long time. Not in my eyes, at least. I cleared my throat. We just don't want to inconvenience you, sir.
This is far less of an inconvenience than waiting at the blacksmith's would be.
He resumed his pace. With men behind us, we had no choice but to keep up. Every step felt like trudging through ankle-deep mud. But what if something happens to your own fire iron? Then you'd be without one.
Our first duty is seeing that our citizens are provided for.
Another thin smile flashed across his lips, still not the least bit sincere. But we were only supposed to be gone a few minutes. We should go home if that's agreeable, sir. We've already been gone too long. Our families will worry. The instant the words left my mouth, I flinched inwardly. It was wrong, so clearly a lie. The obvious lie of someone who had something to hide.
I'm sure they'll understand. After all, weren't you planning to be at the blacksmith's for quite a while?
I forced a giggle and offered the most innocent smile I could muster. Well, I actually didn't know how long we'd be gone when we left, sir. I told my sister I'd be back soon. I cursed myself. Why did you bring O'Reilly up? Knowing you have a sister will only give him leverage.
And you will be, unless you want to go home right now. You'll take care of the rod and your friend.
There was no way I was leaving Adalia with them. Okay, I'll come. I guess I could use the fresh air anyway. I stopped myself there. Nothing I said would help at all.
Excellent.
He smiled, triumphant, cocky, and shook his head. The tips of his short hair brushed the top of his ear, and my eyes narrowed. The ear, that's a good place to grab. I could get my fingernails around the back of it, dig in, and rip straight down. Ears weren't held on by much. It shouldn't take much force. He'd never know what hit him, though he'd surely expect something and stab me the instant I moved toward him. Wakandans always carried at least 5 blades. They may be terrible, but they weren't actually unintelligent or untrained. And he, with his once broken nose and the eyebrow scar, likely wasn't a stranger to combat.
And if they don't understand,
He added,
or have some manner of dispute, they're more than welcome to rebuke me personally when we take you home.
My blood boiled through my veins. We had to get away. I could snatch my knife and stab him in the ear. That would hurt. He wouldn't come at me again. A mocking smile fluttered across his lips.
Is that agreeable, my lady?
Maybe he knew no other way to smile. Maybe it was on purpose, because once again, his eyes remained stony, menacing, the eyes of a man who is not to be trifled with. Or refused. I felt myself weakening, my rage shrinking. There was no walking away from them, not unless they dismissed you. I'd seen them drag people to the stocks outside the wall for simply being late to an assembly, or looking at them with disrespect. One woman had been so insolent. They'd thrown her in the It's All in Ward for a sentence of 2 days. She hadn't come out. And those were people they didn't consider traitors. I closed my eyes, my shoulders slumping. Adalia squeezed my arm, and I scarcely buried my wits. Yes, sir, I said.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear.
He started off again. Like helpless sheep, we followed. Just before we reached the entrance to the Hokanen Quarter, he cleared his throat.
While we have you ladies with us, there is actually something you could help us with, if you think you have time.
I ignored the jab and lifted my chin. Of course, sir, what do you need?
Not here.
What seems to be the problem, sir?
Not here.
He shook his head and held out his hand toward the city gate.
Please, if you don't mind, my lady.
I froze. What? You want us for going outside the city? What about the fire iron at your house?
This actually cannot wait. The iron can.
Why can't we discuss it there? He let out a low chuckle. It held no amusement, just warning.
What part of not here are you not understanding?
Everything in me clenched. I understand, sir.
Excellent. Dramatic ending there.
Man, that was like chilling. Like my hands are clammy.
Thank you.
I feel so bad for you, Stevie, because I took the two fun parts and I didn't realize there was going to be so much.
You know what though? I had a great time just listening. I mean, I was like, so I have words that I want to say, but I'm afraid I'm going to be wrong, and then I'm going to look really stupid. And I don't want to go too far, but it seemed like the intents of the Holkondens were sexual. Am I wrong there? I mean,
I can't really say.
Okay.
I will tell you this much: when it comes to people of like military or sort of police officers in medieval settings in positions of power, it was very common for them to take advantage of people however they wanted.
Okay.
Which unfortunately often included that. So you can guess that at some point in the book there will be something of that.
Okay. I didn't want to give away too much, but that's as somebody just coming into this and not having read the book, that's what I got out of it, and that's why my hands were sweating. And because that to me is like an ultimate offense right there, and I was already getting pissed. So any book that brings emotion like that to me is, and in just 3 pages, I'm really excited to get my hands on it. So I think our viewers will be really I think they're also going to agree with me. So, and I see now why you're so successful on Amazon, because that's excellent.
Thank you.
Is that your look inside excerpt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish. No, that's a little farther into the book than we get in that.
Awesome.
Andy, your accent was killing me.
We couldn't even get through the reading,
gosh.
Andy.
Oh.
I'm telling you, the whole reason that we started this podcast was so that I could have fun doing these crazy voices, Steve.
Yeah. Andy emailed me. He's like, "Hey, Stevie, let's do a podcast so I can show off my awesome accents." Last week your Scottish accent was so good. Like it's so hard to do that. It's so hard.
I find that my Scottish and Irish are a little too similar, so I try not to do them, unless I have to.
Wow, you can do both. I didn't know that was possible for an American.
Yeah. Well, I've always born in Japan, traveled most of my life, lived abroad, so I've always picked up languages, and with that languages comes accents.
Okay. Yeah.
My mom is French, so I grew up listening to English spoken in a French accent my whole life.
Do you speak French?
And I don't.
Dang it. Dang it. I need some practice. But you speak you would say intermediate Japanese?
I did. That was about 15 years ago, and as one of the harder languages in the world, with 15 years of no practice, forget it. I can still recognize it. I can tell it apart from Korean, Chinese, Thai, the other ones.
Yeah.
But I can't can't speak more than 2 or 3 sentences before reverting to Spanish.
Speaking of languages, before we started the podcast, Angie did tell us that she was absolutely fluent in Arabic. Will you give us a sample, please?
I did not say that.
I'm just making your life difficult.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You put me through that riveting scene, so I had to get back at you.
I was thinking, okay, where in the email did she say that?
You missed a whole email. No, but like you punished me by giving me this awesome scene, and now I don't even know what happens, and now I have to read the book. So,
well, I'm sorry, not sorry. So,
and hey, I really like the book cover art as well.
thank you.
And reading the scene, it gave the book cover a little bit more meaning for me. So I'm actually going to pull it up right now because I want to see it. The sewing, right?
Just sewing.
Angie, when are we going to see the cover for Quelling?
I'm planning to do a cover reveal. I'm not sure when yet. I'm going to do it probably a couple of months before I actually release Quelling. But I do have the cover for it. But
when would that be?
I'm planning by the end of the year. So probably fallish sometime is when we will see the cover.
Are you having the same
Very
cover
excited
artist
about
do
that.
it?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And the cover's already done. I just have to finish the book and then she'll be able to do the back and spine.
So what is the meaning behind the title sowing? Like to sow oats or?
It's kind of like things getting started, seeds being planted. Sort of like when you cast seeds out, like you can't really get them back. Especially like I have the dandelions and stuff on there. It's like once these things start happening, nothing's going to stop them.
I did not know we had a politics and government under YA. That's fascinating. Yeah. And it's perfect for you. Absolutely perfect. So, and you're doing really well in that. See, I'm also a business major as well. So I always, whenever we have authors, I love to go over the business aspects for any viewers that are also self-publishers or traditionally published. To me, it's interesting. So congrats to you. That's excellent. And Andy, I always forget, what do we do after the reading besides
well, like if we had something interesting to talk about. Tell us what your thoughts on Wonder Woman were. I was
just about to say, okay, so last week Andy said you could tell the director was female because of the moment when Wonder Woman sees a baby in the street and she goes crazy over it. I also really like that.
You see, that sounds bad. What I'm saying is throughout the movie, there were a number of touches, just small little elements, little conversations, like the conversation that they had in the boat, or the way that when the guy is bathing, that whole conversation they have there. That is so a woman's touch that you would never have gotten if a guy was directing. The baby was just an example.
Okay. Yeah, you did say that. You know, I'm really bad about giving away things in the movie, but I will say that it was a movie. It's been a long time since a movie actually brought like a puddle of tears. Like I wasn't going, but like I had a puddle of tears, and that's hard to happen with me. Animals dying, like pets dying. That I won't even watch the damn film. But okay, I'm gonna give something away, but I got emotional, and that's a really good thing for me. And Angie, have you seen Wonder Woman?
I have not yet.
Okay,
don't give anything away because there might be people watching this who will murder you.
Angie included.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't give anything away, but it's really good. The best part about it, and this is not giving anything away, but the action scenes, you can follow every strike. You can actually see her punch her enemy. Sometimes the action is too fast and you don't know what the heck's going on. With Wonder Woman, you saw every punch, every block. And I actually got to see some videos of her training, and she was from the Israeli army, right?
Israeli Defense Force, yeah.
Yeah, and that's some hard. That's where like Krav Maga came from, right?
I think Krav Maga is Russian.
Is it Russian?
Russians training. Yeah. Okay.
It is. Yeah, I've done some.
That's an intense martial art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like brutal. You fall to your side, you grab the nearest rock you can and bash their head in.
Yeah,
that's the example.
It's very much a survival.
Yeah.
It's very much a survival at any cost type of thing.
Go for the eyes. Go for the eyes.
Go
Sweep
for
the leg.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
There are
much.
no rules.
No
We
rules.
are pretty much out of time. So, Angie, why don't you tell all of our viewers where they can find you?
I am on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you just search my name, you can find me. My book looks like this.
Oh, that is. See, you should have brought that up when I was talking about your book cover. Look at that. That's absolutely stunning.
Yes.
Andy knows I love book covers. Like, Andy has a really cool book cover too. Like, I'm super jealous. Oh, one thing I want to ask you: as an author, how do you use your Instagram? That's something I've always been curious about because I suck at Instagram.
I post pictures of my cats.
Oh, good.
That gets a lot. And then there's these little hashtag things that people do that are like a monthly challenge, and each day you post a picture like of a theme. Like this month, it's like be seen, and each day has a little thing, and like I haven't really been consistent on it, but I try to do that where you just kind of like post a picture that goes with it, and then
I'll have to check that out. Well, if you're an animal lover, here is my husky. He just got walked, so he's tired. So, and this is Texas weather, so it's hot for him. But all right, I know we're running out of time, but I'll get caught up on animals and pets. So, oh, real quick story. I was at work and I brought my dog, and he started barking at our glass door. And I look outside. There is a baby kitten this big. I would say 3 weeks old. It's got a hurt eye, and something was wrong with its butt, like it had worms. And the place I work is a kill shelter, and it's basically, they call it what is it called? The euthanization station is what they call it. So I get this kitten, and it's pretending like it's already mine, just loving on me, purring. It didn't run away, and I took it to the nearest city, pretended like I picked it up there in their jurisdiction, and gave it away to a non-kill shelter. So that was a good, heartwarming story that I wanted to share with our viewers. Everybody loves kittens. But anyways, I'm done rambling. Sorry, Andy.
No worries. That's good. All right. Well, I guess that's it for tonight. Angie, thank you so much for joining us. It was really awesome to have you and to talk about sewing, a book that I highly enjoyed.
Yes, and I command all our viewers to go get her book right now, because I know if you're like me, that excerpt just left you wanting more. So go grab it.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Angie.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.